Hello everyone, my name is Jordan Nolan. I had trouble with getting a hold of my partner, so today I'm really just going to be doing this myself. I found two articles and I have two different discussions that I'd like to talk about each article, and I came up with my questions that I will mention at the end. So yeah, let's see how this goes. Alright. So I will be taking both roles. I'm not sure if I mentioned that, but I will be taking both roles. And first, we're going to start off with my first article, that is Muscle Mini Powers. So the summary I made for this starts off with, the article I decided to look up today is called Muscle Mini Powers, and it is written by Alicia K. Fetters. This article emphasizes on the importance of muscle health development, along with the importance of the muscular system. The article begins to explain a plethora of methods used to avoid severe muscle loss. A few may include strength training, which you need to do at least twice a week, moving through full range of motion, and this increases your muscle fibers and improves joints and range of motion. Pumps of protein, so this provides protein, gives muscle nutrients to repair and grow stronger, etc. So these methods results in body repair and rebuilds the muscles. So the article then gives that the best results are concluded when the individual takes care of themselves. So for example, maintaining good sleep and balanced nutrition, which is always important, and we will talk about the importance of it as we go on with the discussion. So this is the best way to gain muscle strength. Alright, so I just kind of wanted to discuss with you about this article and how I believe this is a great way to promote muscle strength and build up. And this is just because you see it every day, which I mean is mainly true if you think about it. Like, you could see it on social media, at the gym, your classmates, when someone is very involved into sports or makes exercising a lifestyle, they may be at the gym early mornings or late nights. Personally, that is not for me. I am not a gym rat. I have tried to buy a gym pass and I think it only lasted a week, and that's just because I'm busy. I work hard at my job. I am either doing class and homework for my job, or we just got a new puppy, which is a lot of work as well. So I just don't really find as much time to go and work out at the gym, which is okay, because I will mention later there are other ways you can promote your muscle strength and your buildup other than going to the gym, which is very important. Like if someone weren't to have enough money to go to the gym or buy a gym pass, or others who may be busy like me, like you don't have to really worry about buying a gym pass. There are other ways you can increase your muscle strength for sure. So a way that I see teens promote building up your muscle strength is drinking protein shakes. They promote drinking protein shakes and keeping a healthy diet. And this is important because, I do see a lot of kids drink protein shakes. Me personally, I cannot drink protein shakes. I find my proteins in meats and beans instead of protein shakes. So keeping a healthy diet is also important. However, there's a difference between a healthy diet and a diet that you take too far that could become harmful to your body. So you want to keep that in mind. So the methods I provided is a way to stay healthy and balanced for sure. It is extremely important to do this in the right way, because you do not want to harm yourself, which is what I just mentioned. If you take a diet too seriously, you work your body too hard, instead of doing it in increments, you are going to harm yourself, and you will see more of a negative result instead of a positive result. And that is very hard to correct once you start going downhill with that. And that is just because, once you start something, it's hard to finish. It really is. But if you start to see a negative impact, you may not see it, but others may see it. And if you don't see it, that may cause you to, continue doing what you're doing, which actually like I said, could be harmful. Could be a harmful path you're putting yourself down. So it's important just to be careful. So I know reading this article helped me understand the importance of muscle growth, and I hope it does the same for you. So that is because, I noticed like how it has impacted muscle growth because, like I said, I'm not much of a gym rat personally. However, reading this article, I'm like, wow, that's important information. I never even thought about like how important your muscular system really is if you don't go work out or to the gym because, like, if you think about it, your muscular system is like the only system that you can really control, which I will mention later in my questions. Like, it's the only system you can really control. So if your muscle system goes downhill, so is the rest of your body. The rest of your body is going to go downhill quick because if one system fails, the rest of them are going to fail. You know what I mean? So like, if one system starts to fail, the rest of them are going to fail. If one were to start gaining strength, the rest of them will start gaining strength because they're all connected to each other. Like, your muscle system helps your brain and your hormones, like this article mentions, and that's very important to know because harming yourself, you're harming your muscle system will harm the rest of your body. It's not just your muscular system that you're harming, it's everything that your muscular system is connected to. And you use your muscular system in your everyday life. Like, once again, I'll mention in my questions, like if you blink, you're using your muscular system. And I think that's pretty cool because, I never even thought about that. Like, in the ways that you use your muscular system, like I thought, well, maybe it's just lifting weights, but it's not. Like, you use your muscular system taking a step, blinking your eye, anything like that, you're using your muscular system. And it's very important, to think that, wow, you could be harming yourself if you're not taking care of your muscular system properly. If you're not taking care of your muscular system properly, then you can be hurting the rest of yourself properly. That's a scary thought because, you could harm yourself really fast, or you could make yourself really healthy. It just depends how you go upon taking care of your muscular system. All right, so I'm going to start up with the questions that I'm going to ask myself. So I'm turning into my partner right now. So question number 1, do you work out as much as the article recommends? So I don't. Like I mentioned before, I find myself busy a lot, which is not an excuse at all. Don't get me wrong, it's not an excuse. Like I said, I'm very involved in my education and getting my homework done. I have high hopes for my future, and I work a lot, and we just got this new puppy. And so, I have to find my exercising, fixing my muscular system, and other factors than at the gym, like I had mentioned earlier. At work, we have to lift bread trays, we have to lift boxes, all that kind of stuff. So when I'm doing that, I'm increasing my muscular system. But it's not only by me lifting things at work, however, it's by what I'm eating. If I'm eating a balanced, nutritious meal, because if I'm not doing that, if I'm just going to eat junk food all day and then go do this, my body's going to become weak, and my muscular system, may be trying to gain strength from lifting this stuff, but if I'm not taking care of my body properly by not eating, I will become weak and no longer be taking care of myself properly. Question number 2, how does the article make you feel? So it does make me feel encouraged, and that's just because it makes me feel encouraged every day to work on myself, because like I mentioned, I, once again, don't go to the gym. And, especially as a teenage woman, self-appearance is hard to come by. Self-encouragement is hard to come by as a teen that is a female. And, if you're working on your body in a healthy way, it can give you a healthy mindset. So, going to the gym may give someone a healthy mindset. Personally, for me, as long as I'm eating a nutritious meal once a day, or even more than once a day, that makes me feel healthy and happy with my body. And if you feel nutritious and you feel happy, you're gonna feel healthy. And that's very important mindset for one to have, because if you go in to this gym or you go in with a negative, mindset, you're not going to take care of yourself properly when doing this. So question number 3, is there anything in this article you do not agree with? So I pretty much agreed with everything. On a personal factor, like I said, the only thing I don't agree with is protein shakes, but that's just because, I'm not a protein shake drinker. I don't like protein in powdered form, and that's just because, the taste isn't for me. I've tried it before, and it's upset my stomach, so I prefer to get my protein through meats and beans and other factors instead of the powdered way. Alright, next question. Do you believe good sleep and balanced nutrition will increase your strength? So yes, I do. I do believe that. And that's because if you fail to sleep and eat properly, your body will become weak. And that's just a true factor all around, because if you're eating a balanced meal, let's say, but you're not sleeping properly, your body's not going to even out. You're going to want to sleep maybe, but then if you sleep but you don't eat, then your body's not going to be balanced out. But if you don't do either, your body's just going to become weak. And if your body continues to become weak, once again, it's just going to shut down all your systems to where you're not just going to be weak in your muscular system. In your muscular system. You're going to become weak everywhere else, and it's going to be hard for you to get out of bed and even want to move because you're so weak. So it's very important that you're maintaining balanced nutrition, good sleep, and you're eating properly. So, next question. Were you aware that if you increase muscle strength, you can also increase the strengths of other systems in your body? So this is something that I mentioned earlier briefly. So yeah, I learned this after reading the article. And this is because, I did understand that, your muscles are something you can control. Obviously, we all know that fact. However, I did not understand, in the ways that your muscular system could help you. And, your muscular system is important because, it's the only system that you can really control yourself, pretty much you can control your muscular system. If you harm your muscular system, you're harming other systems. And like I said before, if you're harming one system, you're harming another. And if you're making another one very nutritious, you'll make the other ones very nutritious. It's just the way the body works, how it's all connected. So next question. Did you know how often your muscular system was used before this article? So no, I did, but I didn't. I understood that the muscular system was used, that I use my muscular system. I understand that because that's just basic knowledge. However, I didn't know that I could use my muscular system when I blink my eye or take a step. Just a simple step, you're using your muscular system, I didn't really put my thought into that. I really just thought, I'm just stepping. But actually it takes my muscles to take that step. So if I weaken my muscular system, then I'm weakening the ability to take a step. And some people may have this issue, maybe if they're in nursing homes or on bed rest, when you can't move for a while, you're weakening your muscle system. And by doing this, it's going to be harder for you to take steps and do things like that, which is why we have physical therapy. And yeah, and blinking your eye, if you think about it, if you're weakening your muscle system, then it's going to be hard for you to blink your eye. That's crazy to think about to me. All right. Next question. You mentioned to strength train twice a week. Does this not increase? So it does gradually increase. The article mentioned to 3 to 5 times a day as you strengthen. Question number 9. You also mentioned the method more through a full range of motion. Do you know any way to increase the motion? So yes, we do. We also read this in the article that you can do this by using weights, bands, or your own body weight, which is something that you can just use at home, which is very easy. So what is the best way to burn calories? So the article said a compound. movement is, and that's just like your squats, your basic squats, and your deadlifts. So all this is extremely important, and I hope that you take into consideration all of these facts, and you keep making yourself healthy because it's very important. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and start with my next article in summary. So the summary begins off with, the other article I decided to look up is called Sarcopenia, Beyond Words, and it is written by Anna Valia and Mara Parsodi. Now, I hope I did pronounce these last names correctly, or I may have butchered them. I'm not really sure, but yeah. So sarcopenia is the damage of muscle function and mass. It is associated with fractures, falls, and higher risk patients. A few methods to help cure sarcopenia includes training exercise, which helps with muscle adjustment, providing proteins for muscle activity, and correction of hormone impairment. The results of these methods is daily practice. As long as the patient steps up and maintains these goals and methods, they are a step closer to bettering themselves, which is always important in bettering yourselves. Alright, so the discussion I want to have with you today is how I believe sarcopenia is a serious and fatal disease, which, is very important to understand, to look and understand. So which is why those serious injuries can be diagnosed with it. So, for example, this could result in death. Personally, I do know someone who experienced this, and I'm going to give you a little bit of my background real quick and talk to you about it. So, my grandpa was diagnosed with prostate cancer a couple years ago, and he got this from Agent Orange in the Vietnam War because he was a Vietnam veteran. And after doing a little bit of research, I found out sarcopenia can happen with someone who has prostate cancer, which I actually had no idea about. And I'm like, wow, like, now that I'm reading this and understanding what sarcopenia is, like, I saw it happen to my grandpa. So, like we mentioned before, sarcopenia, it's the damage of the muscles and muscle function and mass. So, like, it can happen to someone who is not very mobile, like my grandpa. My grandpa just had to lay in a hospital bed all day. He did have physical therapy, but, some days he didn't want to get up, and some days he would. But on those days he didn't want to get up, he's hurting his muscular system, and it's just going to weaken itself. And that's what's happening. And, I began to see his feet swell, and he couldn't walk like he could before. He didn't even want to do physical therapy. Like, I just saw it worsen. That's crazy to me to think about. I saw it firsthand, and I didn't even realize it until after I'm doing this research. And that's why I find this article extremely important for you guys to learn and to understand, because you may know someone or may experience this sarcopenia and not even realize it. And maybe this could help you, encourage you, to get up from bed and to work on yourself, because the only way that this is going to go away is daily practice. So sarcopenia caused my grandpa to not be able to move his bones and joints as easily. So this also relates to the article about the importance of exercise. So the last article we talked about how important exercise is. And exercise is extremely important. It's just the fact that, if you do it daily or not. Because if you don't do it daily, sarcopenia isn't going to go away. And it may cause worsened problems. So this is because exercise can reduce obesity. So obesity is another reason, someone may have sarcopenia. So like I mentioned before, you could have sarcopenia through falls and higher risk patients and fractures. So like my grandpa was a higher risk patient, but someone who is obese may also have this as well, because if you're obese, you may not be able to be very mobile. You know, some people may have to go in wheelchairs, some may not even be able to get out of bed. You know, they just lay there all day because they can't move, because they can't help themselves. And, you know, it's sad, but it happens, and we see it more and more every day through obesity. And I mean, the only way that you can help yourself is through good daily practice. If you're going to sit there and you're going to lay there every day, you're just going to worsen yourself. You're going to become weak, and you're just going to continue to worsen yourself. Whereas if you know, do good daily practice, you get up, you work on yourself, you work on walking, you work on just little increments every day, like I mentioned in the last article, you're going to help yourself. You're going to increase, you know, a good daily practice. And once you get used to your daily practice, then, you know, you will start to see better results in yourself, which is very important. You know, when you start to see good results in yourself, that also encourages you. The hard part is getting started, and once you get started, another hard part is keeping up with it, which is why, once again, you need a good daily practice. You need to do it every day. You can't just start and quit. So if there's anything I learned about this article, it's the importance of good sleep, balanced nutrition, and strengthening your body. So we just kind of mentioned this in every way. You know, good sleep is always important no matter what it is. But if you don't have good sleep, you're already going to start downhill without having good sleep. Your balanced nutrition, we talked about. You can't have good sleep without a balanced nutrition, and you can't have balanced nutrition without good sleep. They just run together. That's just how it works. That's how your body works. That's how your body feeds, it eats, and takes care of itself. And then strengthening your body, which we mentioned, a good daily practice, which is very important to do, that this article likes to mention is a good daily practice. It stresses and stresses and stresses about a good daily practice, which is very important, you know, because if you're, like I said, you can't just start and quit. You have to continue working on it. All right. So have these, oh, my bad, I forgot to tell you. So I'm starting on the questions. I am turning into my partner now. So the articles I have for article number 2 is have these showed you the importance of body health. And yes, I have found it extremely important to maintain a healthy lifestyle and understand the severities of it. So yeah, it is extremely important to understand, you know, your body health, because if you don't understand the importance of your body health, you're just gonna not be encouraged, and that's, you know, that's a bad thing for sure. Do you know anyone who had sarcopenia? So yes, like I mentioned before, my grandpa has had it, and I didn't even realize it until, you know, after I just recently read this article. So it's very important to see if you see it in someone. If you do, you need to stress daily practice. You know, if they are turning down physical therapy and they just want to lay in bed, you know, you got to try to encourage them, try to get them started, and try to get them to do it every day, because if not, they're just going to get weaker, and it could lead to death. So are you concerned that you will get sarcopenia? Personally, no, and that's just because, you know, sarcopenia comes with, you know, falls and fractures and high-risk patients, obesity. Well, here's how I feel about it. If I take care of myself, I'm not going to become obese. If I get good sleep, a nutritious balance, and I strengthen my body, then I shouldn't become obese, as long as I have my daily good practice, like it mentions here. And, you know, like my grandpa had prostate cancer. You know, I can't control if I get cancer or not, so it's not really something that I know for sure. However, there is part of it that I can control. On a scale from 1 to 10, how serious do you think sarcopenia is? So I think it's definitely a 10, and that's because, you know, it's very important. And if you know, could die from this, and it's for high-risk patients, you could harm yourself really bad and you could die. somebody who might fracture, let's say, their femur, they could have a chance of getting it because they're not being able to move very well. But if they practice a good daily practice, then they should be fine. It's just who has it. If you get it and you don't practice your daily practice, it could result in death. But if you do practice your good practice, and you do it every day and you keep it consistent, then it should be fine. However, it is very fatal, so I would rate it out of 10. So is sarcopenia life-threatening? As we just mentioned, yes, it is. It can be extremely fatal if you don't take care of yourself properly through, once again, as mentioned a bunch of times, your daily practice. How can I reduce my chances of getting sarcopenia? So just working on your muscular system, really. It talks about, falls and fractures in high-risk patients. Well, if you take care of yourself, it will be harder for you to get fractures. Except for in older people, their bones become more frail, so it is easier for them to break their bones if they were to fall. But if you're keeping yourself healthy, you have your good sleep and your balanced nutrition, it may be harder to fracture your bone or to hurt something if you fall because you're taking care of yourself properly. So it's really what you're putting into your body and if you're getting your proper sleep or not. And then once again, if you're maintaining a good daily practice, you can do that without even having sarcopenia, making sure you're eating properly, once again, making sure you're sleeping properly, make sure that, you aren't overworking yourself to where these accidents could happen and you could become a high-risk patient. So do I need to stick with my exercises and nutrient balance, or can I quit? So once again, don't give up. This is my encouragement to you. Please don't give up, because if you give up on your daily practice, you have a chance of dying. And I saw that in my grandpa. I saw him give up on physical therapy, and it hurts. It hurts to those who have to sit there and watch it all happen. So think about your family and your loved ones, and think and encourage to those who love you and who care about you. And I personally, I've made amends with it. I understand, my grandpa became really sick and he could only do so much, so it's not his fault. But it did hurt. So make sure you think of your loved ones when you are taking care of yourself properly. So how old do you have to be to get it? So the article never really mentioned how old you have to be. However, it just mentioned, falls, fractures, and high-risk patients. So when I think of high-risk patients, I think of older people, which I could be wrong. You do have younger kids who do get cancer and who do get extremely sick. So, and falls and fractures can happen in older people or in younger people. So I really think sarcopenia, you could get it at any age. It just depends what's going on and if you're going to be taking care of it properly or not, because it is life-threatening, once again, which is extremely important to know and understand. So what are signs you may have it? So a couple signs that we've mentioned before is prostate cancer, fractures, falls, etc. So those increase your chances of getting sarcopenia. What is sarcopenia? So sarcopenia is the damage of muscle function. So that just doesn't even sound good at all. The damage of muscle function. So like we mentioned in our first article, muscles help us, our muscular system helps us blink, helps us take a step. So just imagine damaging your muscle function. You could barely take a step. You could barely blink your eye. Like, you're just harming yourself if you don't practice your good daily practice, which is extremely important. So, as I mentioned in all of this, it is extremely important to take care of yourself. Sarcopenia is very serious, and it is very life-threatening if you don't take care of yourself properly. And, taking care of yourself properly in other ways, too, like we mentioned in Article 1, taking the proper amount of intake of nutrients and sleep, And I also forgot to mention that there is a certain amount of protein you have to take in Article 1. They recommend you take 55 grams for a 150-pound person and double the intake to achieve muscle strength for adults. So that's also important to know. Don't overdo your protein because it can result in bad kidneys. So make sure you take care of yourself and, do it for your loved ones. If you don't have a reason to do it for your loved ones, because you don't want to sit there and watch them die like I had to. And it's very sad. So thank you for listening.